Welcome to Stuff and Nonsense Journaling with Julie, Episode 5, Selfie Actualization. In other words, drawing a self-portrait, Part 1. Drawing people is probably almost as old as drawing itself. There's nothing like drawing the people around you. But if you can't get anyone else to pose for you, there's always yourself. Leonardo da Vinci didn't do many selfies, but the one he did was full of honesty and depth and perceptiveness. Jan van Eyck demonstrated that he was a thoughtful artist of unsurpassed precision and skill. When I show Albrecht Dürer's self-portrait to kids, they sometimes actually ooh and ah. They say, "He was a cool guy, wasn't he, Miss Julie? I'll bet people thought he was really cool." And I say, "I'll bet you're right." If you want to see the great women painters, you often have to go into the museum's storage rooms. I think Artemisia Gentileschi ranked right up there with the big boys of the Renaissance. But she's seldom put front and center because, well, she was a woman. Same goes for Sofonisba Aguisola. And how about Angelica Kaufmann, Elizabeth Louis Vichy-Lebrun, or Marie Gabrielle Capet? You may have to go out of your way to see these painters, but they're worth looking for. Rembrandt painted himself many times over the years. I think the older he got, the more you can see the life and death and wisdom in his eyes. I would have loved to have met Sir Joshua Reynolds. His youthful portrait, with its hand shielding his eyes, shows not just talent, but his originality and sense of humor. If there were any doubts about that, his portrait of himself when he was older, with his hand cupped behind his ears, well, that proves it. Gustave Courbet, I think, called his selfie Panic. Have you ever seen animators make faces in a mirror to help them draw cartoons that convincingly show emotions? Courbet would have fit right in. I can see the astonishment and alarm. Van Gogh painted plenty of selfies, too. He shows you something different in each one. Katia Kollwitz appraises herself with calm and understanding and wise acceptance. Contrast that with Salvador Dali. I love that one. What a hoot. Tamara de Lempicka was an Art Deco artist. She painted herself behind the wheel of a car, displaying such bravura, not just in her incredible painting style and composition, but as a reflection of her life and abilities. Frida Kahlo is famous for her self-portraits. Her unibrow wasn't fashionable, but her frank, perhaps even exaggeration of her look was a sort of act of defiance. Good for her. M.C. Escher was one of the most unique artists to have ever taken up a pencil, and it shows in his selfie. Norman Rockwell was funny and gentle and humble soul, and you can tell. Andy Warhol turned the art world on its head. Very clever indeed. Chuck Close made giant pixelated portraits, a modern master of the form. Mary Ellen Croteau made this giant portrait of herself using bottle caps. Is that fantastic or what? So, I'm going to do a selfie. I've drawn myself before. For this one, I'm just going to draw on cardboard and add it to my big sketchbook. At work, I have to write down what I do every 15 minutes, categorize each thing, and rank it in its importance. And you can't just write email because that's one of the categories. I mean, if I could do that, I would just check off the boxes for the day. So I have to break it down. And since I can easily find myself doing several things in 15 minutes, such as find a book for someone, sign someone up for the reading club, and unjam the copy machine, I have to write really small, and even then I end up producing reams of this stuff. It takes me hours and hours. So, how do you rank unjam the copy machine? It may not seem important, but when the patron is standing there waiting for their printouts, it's important to them. Anyway, I got all these sheets, so I copied a bunch of them off, and I cut them up and glued them to the cardboard. Then I snapped a selfie. No, not that one. Okay, that's me. Then I propped up the picture in front of me, and I drew it with a blue fine-point Sharpie, because that was what was at hand. I figured, okay, this is my life right now, so I'm determined to make it mean something. That's one of the big reasons I keep a sketch journal. When you do a selfie for your own sketch journal, it's okay to be whatever you are at the moment. Are you young in your prime, feeling your oats? Are you old and lined in gray? Are you strong? Are you weak? Are you lighthearted? Are you grieving? Who are you? Are you clever? Are you cunning? Are you kind? Are you brooding? We all exist in a time and place. Where are you? Are you hidden? Are you exposed? Are you lost? It's often not pretty, But whether it's joyous or desperate, if you put it in your journal, even if it's only for your own eyes, in this small way you can cast it out into the universe, and it's like a song. At this point, I took out the watercolors and the colored pencils and my ink pens, and I got to work giving it some real dimension. A person can learn a lot making an artful selfie. Painting, drawing, photographing a portrait of anyone will teach you about art and imaging and design, but doing a selfie can bring some truly unusual, sometimes unanticipated benefits. It can help you look at yourself in a different way and reconcile yourself to your own face, and help you understand the difference between semblance and substance. I usually like reaching this point in the process of my drawing. I can really get into the zone as I put layer upon layer till I'm more or less satisfied. Often about the third of the way into a drawing, I catch myself sighing and thinking it's not going to work. It's a failed drawing. But if I plug away, it usually comes out fine. I mean, it's got flaws, obviously. It's crooked, or I should say it's even more crooked than I am crooked. So a crooked drawing for a crooked face. But that's part of the whole package. And that's one of the reasons self-portraits can take on an extra meaning and can bring unanticipated blessings. When I draw my crooked nose, it makes me smile a bit now. I inherited my dad's crooked nose. My brother did too. I didn't like my nose when I was a teenager, but now I kind of like it. It suits me. A kid at the library once asked me, "Am I pretty?" And I answered, "Oh yeah, no doubt about that. But don't count on that, kiddo. Looks don't last. It's more important to impress with your very being." And they said, "What?" And I said, "Was Lincoln beautiful?" I could see the gears turning. I think he was beautiful. So was Einstein, but they weren't fashionable. "What about girls?" she asked. "Well, it's harder for women, I'll give you that. But what about Eleanor Roosevelt?" "Who?" "Forget it, you'll figure it out. I have confidence in you." There are faces that take on an iconic aspect that has nothing to do with the way they look as far as the societal attractiveness scale measures things. Person makes a few self-portraits and the process can teach them that. It doesn't mean you'll end up becoming an iconic figure like Frida Kahlo, although I suppose you might. Maybe no one will ever see you for what you are. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness on the desert air. Yeah, that's kind of a sad quote, but I get it. On the other hand, sometimes if you put a little of yourself on the page, it can send a ripple through the fabric of existence, and nothing is lost to God. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you come back for more Journaling with Julie.